Oh, it's trying to record now. I
There we go.
So we had a session with you in 2021, right?
Right.
You found out you were, I think, a captain in SSB in a lot of programs, right? And you always felt towards it. You liked speed, you like flying drones and all this stuff. So that matched a lot. But then you mentioned about your wife,
Yeah.
and it's really interested me and very much, because this kind of disease that people have, like you can talk about it now, what
Yeah.
happens after we
Yeah.
will.
Well, my wife is she had a blood disease. It's called von Willebrand's disease, and what that is the blood doesn't clot. So most people say, well, that she's a bleeder, which technically that's what it is. But so uh, this is un an incontrollable disease. There is no cure. There is nothing out there for it. They do have what they have different factors that's clotting agent that they put into you, which is uh, like $20,000 for uh, about 10 cc's of it, and it usually takes you about 60 cc's. It cost my wife $120,000 just to get her four wisdom teeth cut out. It was $120,000 just in the medication they used for the clotting stuff, so she wouldn't bleed out during getting her teeth pulled out. So, but at any rate, she had this blood disease, and just like anybody else that had blood transfusions in the 80s, they acquired hepatitis. So
Mm,
here in the 80s, then she had the hepatitis, which then that's really putting a big damage on her liver, all this time. So it's like, I think it's about 3 years ago. Well, 4 years ago, I think it was 3 or 4 years ago, they got the cure out for hepatitis C, and we got that taken care of for her. But then, I had come to you because I wanted, some understanding with stuff, and then, I discovered, this other stuff. But then at the end of it, I said, hey, my wife is not very healthy, and could you have a peek at her and tell? And you went into telling me that in the etheric they had my wife hooked up to this machine that basically they had this yellow fluid going through it, which replaced her whole blood. Okay.
mm,
And so then my higher self went in and removed all the stuff from her, and all that. And I wasn't expecting this at all, but I, I said, so when we were done, with that part of it, I said, so is she going to, what kind of benefits was she see from that, And you said, oh, her blood will return to normal. I mean, I didn't want to show it, but I nearly fell on my chair when you said it. I was like, oh God, I hope she's right. That, because that's a miracle. That would just be a miracle. So you said, well, you have to understand that it's going to take some time because she's never had this in her system ever. But now that everything's right, and the body will put it'll it'll work itself, and it'll restore what it didn't have there, but it'll now take place. And you said you'll probably start noticing benefits in that way in about 6 months. And then you also said that she won't be as tired and all that. That'll probably happen way sooner. So of course I'm watching everything to do with my wife, whether it would be bruises on her, because you could be like, you just almost touch her and she'd bruise and stuff real easy. I would watch all this stuff, and she would, every year in January. You lived in Chicago, and you know how cold it gets around up here, which I'm not too far from Chicago. My wife would get nosebleeds, and she would have to go to the emergency room every year, and she would bleed for 3 days until she'd have so much blood going down her throat and it would start to coagulate, thicken up. And she'd be to the point where she'd go to the emergency room. In some cases, they would try to cauterize her nose and all that. But this is something that she's dealt with all of her life with these nosebleeds. Well, she don't have that problem anymore. I mean, like this past January and all that, she didn't have no problems like that whatsoever. And we've got 3 cats, and they like to horse around and whatnot. And every now and then she'll get scratched or something with the cats. And it used to be that she would just go through boxes of Band-Aids, with because like I said, it just doesn't bleed. I mean, we've done stuff like trying to put super glue and stuff on her and all that, stuff in the past.
Mm-hmm.
She doesn't even get to the kitchen to like run it underwater, and it's already clotted. So I mean, it's an absolute miracle, the stuff that you was able to help us out with. And the fact that she doesn't have this blood issue anymore. I mean, she has a lot more energy now. She used to sleep so much. Like I said, she had hepatitis, and that was a big thing on her liver and whatnot. But her whole system being down, I mean, with whatever her she has brothers and sisters that have this problem too. So I haven't shared with them because I don't even know that that they would. I mean,
They would
this
believe.
whole this whole family has lived at the hospitals and the doctors all their life,
Mm-hmm.
and they're all like in the early 60s or in early 70s. So to be able to say, hey, I don't even I don't know if I'd even want to try to face. Of course, I will attempt to try to talk to him about it, but it's just the fact is that there's a cure. I mean, we're talking about something that's they say, or it's in control. You could look it up. Anybody could look it up right now, and there's a non-curable disease, but that's not the case because, at least in my case, it isn't now. But because of what we did there, it helped it out. I mean, it helped us, and her blood actually clots now. So it's amazing,
Great.
amazing. It's a miracle. I mean, it's a miracle. So, and I don't know. I mean, I'm so proud of it. I feel like I'm indebted to you, because I don't have, like, when I meditate, I don't talk to spirit guides or anything like that, nor do I hear voices and whatnot, but they do guide me by feeling to people, and they guided me to you, and that's what became of it, is this, well, like I said, a miracle. You know what I'm saying? It wasn't my intention, when I did the session with you, in 2021,
Mm-hmm.
but it turned out that way, and it's just, you know,
It wasn't a session for her, it was a session for you, but how
right.
interesting. I mean, I'm so glad you shared about this with me because, like I told you, people who have sessions, they have great results. They usually don't come back ever. They just have good results. There's nothing to, but it's always good when people tell you years later what happened, what the progress is, because I believe there's always progress.
Yeah.
Because those who don't have progress or get new interference, they always come back. Or sometimes they just want to research more, like you want to do today, or have more questions. But the thing is, they usually take a family and what we call those genetic conditions that family
Hmm.
you inherit, is usually that somebody's doing experiments on you at an etheric level. And
Right.
that's what they do because they look for certain DNA, and the family carries this certain DNA. So therefore, you're good for this particular research.
Yeah.
That's why. But she can also share information with the family members. But then, as we know, you have to believe your
Right.
physical part has to support the work done in the etheric. Muriel, sorry, my child. And also the spirit guides, those are just aspects of you, because we have to get to understanding that that's your soul. You don't need anybody else, because this level of reality we are on is just built on lies and deception, layers of lies and deception. That's why they try to tell you that you need a teacher, a guide, somebody to show you the way. But no, you yourself, you have to show the way. But at the same time, some people say my guides, but they mean there are other aspects of themselves from higher dimensions who guide them. But some people believe in guides separate from you. And that's when any alien, any entity can take advantage of you after your physical body dies. Then they show
Yeah.
up, they shape shift into anything you want, you believe in your mind, because they scan you upon when you lose your body. They scan your etheric body, what your beliefs are, what. So that's why it's important to form the right beliefs in this life to get prepared for the transition out of
Right.
the body.
Yeah. So I explained to my wife, I said, the way the universe works is it is going to, here I'd say, here's the thing. You, me, we're creators. Okay.
Mm.
We create the reality that we want to live in. The universe makes sure that we're in that reality. So, like, I explained to her, I said, if you want to like go look at the ant that's walking across the sidewalk and say that that's the king of the United States, or that's the president right there, or that's your God,
Mm.
they're not going to look at it whether it's right or wrong. They're just going to follow with your belief system that that's what you want to believe, and they're going to make sure that everything works out around that, in your reality that way. So, this stuff comes into play, when they say as above, so as below. So here's the etheric, you know, and we fixed that in the etheric, which then it acclimated here. It took about 6 months, to really see it really coming into play, but it did. I mean, it did made up, and
Mm-hmm.
it actually happened here. And, I mean, you have to, I mean, my friends and stuff, if you was to talk with my friend, I'm not somebody to paint pictures or tell stories and and I usually don't give people props, man, but when you do something really special, I like to give credit where credit's due. And I couldn't say it enough, to tell you how amazing it was. I mean, it's like it's so special to me. It's like we can do, it's like what else can we do? What else can we fix? You know what I'm saying? We're talking about this is literally like a miracle in my opinion. I mean, when you have worldwide situation that that's an incurable disease, but yet we know now that that's not the case, and we're learning this stuff on our own. You know what I'm saying? uh there, you hear it all the time where people say, oh, you're so powerful, but nobody wants to tell you how you're supposed to be powerful, but nobody
Mm-hmm.
wants to say, now, but do this, you know fix this, help this. Well, see, that's a situation like I experienced, so I know from that experience of what it takes, with the as far as working in the etheric part of it.
Yeah, it takes time to understand what exactly your power is in and how to form the right beliefs, how to manage energy, how to control energy to get what you want. And it took me a long time since 2016 since I started this. And for everybody, it's like we improve because we essentially kind of like a big, if like I see us as a big human body all together, the souls who are used in this reality. And that's why they say we are one, because if your heart and I am liver of the same body, we're kind of supposed to help each other share information and all
Right.
that, right? So that just makes sense. But yeah, thank you so much for sharing. I mean, it's very,
Sure.
makes me
Well,
happy that what I
we,
do helps. That's the whole point.
yeah, I just, it's, I got this much gratitude and appreciation for, for, being able to step in there and basically guide me, to the path or to that point and being able to do what, we did that day. So I
That's
thank you a lot,
thank you.
very much.
Well, we help each other. Thanks.
Yeah. All right.
Okay.